Hello, 2S Nation, and welcome to your third installment of 2S Giants, where we continue to highlight members in our community making a significant impact. Today, we have a very special guest. It is our first commissioned officer. They are currently serving as the executive officer to the Director of Staff, Headquarters AFMC, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Ohio. He has served previously as a maintenance ops officer, to include working as an LRO in M-Flight. Some of their past assignments include Keesler, Lakenheath, and McGuire Air Force Base. Some of his accomplishments include the General Lou Allen Award and CGO of the Year. And without further ado, team, please help me welcome Captain David Martin.
All right, hey everyone, I'm Captain David Martin. I'm an LRO and maintainer coming to you from our conference room here in Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Ohio. I do want to say that I've had the absolute honor and privilege of working with some of the best people I've ever met in the supply community. So believe me when I say I'm thrilled to be part of the dialogue that we're all having right now, first as an Air Force and also as a nation, and just being a voice out there right now.
All right, Captain, let's get into it. What books have you given most as gifts and why?
First, How to Win Friends and Influence People, right? Dale Carnegie. This book is a classic. We're talking, what, 100 years old now? It's getting very old, and it's still a bestseller, right? What is the point of this book? Well, it's about knowing people, knowing what motivates people, and knowing what they care about. And here's spoilers for those of you who haven't read it. It's usually them, right? I care about me, my family. I'm thinking about dinner tonight. Some people are thinking about their dinner and their families, right? People usually are thinking about themselves. So if you really want to care about other people, you have to understand where they're coming from and what motivates them, right? So this book's not going to blow your mind, but it's going to kind of teach you better ways to communicate, right? I've not mastered that, but I do try to read the book a lot, so I get a little bit better at that every time, you know. I have found that to be eye-opening. Second book, and I have three here, Marcus Aurelius, Meditations, right? Specifically this version with a raven on it, right? It's very plain English, very readable, and it's like Sun Tzu for millennials. This old Roman general, emperor, before he died, he wrote down what was important to him. So this is like a 2,000-year-old journal, right? His basic point is stoicism, right? It's this idea that you can't control the future, you can't control the past, so you got to control the now. And in the now, you can't control other people, you can't control the weather and all these other things that are outside of your control. So control yourself. You have now to control yourself. And if you get all spun up about all these things that are out of your control, you won't be so happy. So you can make peace with the fact that the only thing you control is yourself, and do the best job with what you have, the time that you have it. You'll be a happier person. You'll be a better person for it. So, second great book. The last book, new favorite, Primal Leadership, right? With a name like Primal Leadership, you're thinking this book is like Navy SEALs going, hoorah, you know, but really uses a lot of science to talk about the power of emotional intelligence, right? Who's ever been in a meeting where it feels like, you know, there's anger in the room, or when there's people are really happy about some like results or something that came out. Those are the feelings that you can very obviously read in the room, but all the time an organization, a person, a team, a group, a family has feelings and going through them. So this book says, hey, you got to know your feelings, you got to know other people's feelings, and if you can get those resonating in sync with each other, you guys will be happier. And guess what? If you're happier, you'll see more success, you'll be more motivated, and in the end, your workplace is going to be better for it. So those are three books I would recommend. Those are books I have gifted the most, without question and comparison.
Captain, those are some great recommendations. As a matter of fact, I have two of those very same books in my own collection that I just got done reading. And I'm a firm believer that the more you spend time reading up and learning about leadership, the better you will become. Keep your mind sharp. All right, second question. What is one of the best or most worthwhile investments of time, money, or energy?
So I was thinking about gadgets and apps and all that stuff, but I'm just going to go ahead and say, sign up for an experience you have never done before, right? Any app or device I recommend right now is probably going to be outdated, but an experience is going to be a memory that sticks with you and that you're going to grow into. The example I'm going to use is when I was stationed overseas, I signed up for a marathon from my phone in a Burger King, right? Not a runner, at least not a serious runner at the time. And guess what? I sucked at it. It's the only marathon I ever run. But with the help of at least one 2S, Chief Logue, shout out, I survived and I learned a lot about running. I learned about myself. I learned about discipline. So I learned something. Hey, it was a great location. So I had a good memory, good experience. So that's great. And it doesn't have to be running. It can be whatever, right? Bodybuilding, archery contest, a writing competition. I, I've even done a poetry competition once, and I ended up winning that one. That was cool. But pick something that's different, that's way out of your wheelhouse, and say, I'm gonna go get some memories. I'm gonna go get some experiences, and then hey, that way, instead of remembering a time in your life as a series of Netflix shows and work hours, you've also got these things that you grew to and challenge. So, to me, a great investment of time or money is an experience. That's what I recommend.
All right, next question. In the last 5 years, what new belief, behavior, or habit has most improved your life?
The bullet journal was some idea I'd heard in passing, but I'd always written journals, or I tried to write journals, and I always failed. And it was always because I was writing prose, like to those who read this in the future, and it was just overwrought. But the bullet journal was just a great idea. Just don't worry about it. Just hey, what was your day like? So I was at Walmart. I bought the crappiest little art paper notebook I could find, and resolved that I was just going to write some bullet in there every day, a bullet point. Well, I did. Here's my thing. I went to Walmart today. It was good. That was my entry that day. The next day, I went to school, worked out, that sort of thing. And before long, I got in the habit of writing every day. And because I was one note a day, I'd start thinking about how I was spending my time or how I was treating people in my relationships. And before long, that became 2 or 3 minutes every night of just reflecting on my day. And folks, truly, that was big transformative change for me is to be able to say, hey, here's who I am, here's where I need to go with this. And habits, I'm on my 149th day of practicing Italian. I know that because every day I say, hey, here's another day of Italian practice, right? I've done that with all kinds of habits. Anything that I commit to thinking about, I get better at, right? I did not know that that was possible, but having a journal or bullet journal of some sort just to think about your day, it's like a superpower sometimes. So maybe I get used to it. Maybe this doesn't always work out for me. Maybe this doesn't work out for you, but I've been on a roll now for a little more than a year. So I'm really grateful for this discovery in my life.
Bullet journal. That's interesting. I've never heard of that method before. I have all my airmen keep a bullet tracker of all their accomplishments, but this sounds more like a bullet tracker but for your life. That might be something that I can try in the future and see if that works for me. Last question. What are some bad recommendations that you hear in our profession or our area of expertise?
Do X, get Y. Do X, get Z. Do this thing that everyone in the Air Force says to do so that you can be successful. Do this thing that all the people who know what to do with their careers do, and you'll be happy. All these variations of kind of careerist advice, they're all good. They have a time and they have a place. And you get a lot of professional development about that in the Air Force. How to get to BTZ, how to get a strat, whatever. And it's all good. Should always try to be the best at all those things, wherever you are. But that's not everything in life, right? So first off, nobody really knows. Everyone's got an idea. They can point you like, hey, 70%, 80%, hey, do good at this job, get this reward, make the next rank, whatever. But they can only tell you what they know from where they're at. Things like coronavirus show up in the world and they get a vote on the future. Things like the situation of the George Floyd protests, they can change the future. Our budget every year fluctuates. People get riffed. People get hired. Things change with things out of our control, right? So people who are giving you career advice, including me right now, can only work with what they've got. They can only give you a general vector. Your situation and luck and timing are all going to play into that. And with career advice, for some reason, this is really my main point on this. People seem to always just take it like, that's a good point. Let me solve this now so I can climb that ladder or whatever. Like I know I'll just volunteer for one more deployment so I can get that award and the rank and everything will change once I make it. True or not, there's a lot that we didn't talk about by saying that. We didn't talk about families. We didn't talk about your motivations, your goals as a person, right? In the end, we're all going to take the uniform off. What do you want to look back on your life and say that you did? That you never took a chance on something that motivated you, that you didn't put your family first when it was time, when you had the opportunity, and so now when you don't, you regret it because you were so busy on that career Rubik's Cube. You forget that there's other things that matter in life, and so you do all these things that people tell you to do, and you could find yourself less happy, and that makes you a worse leader, right? So if you can't find your motivation, your resonance, neither will the people around you. They'll see that you're, just a little downtrodden, and that will hurt them as well, right? So you got to put the oxygen on your face first. You got to know what powers you, what motivates you, and you got to live up to your own standards. If you can do that, if you can say, hey, here's what I want out of life, here's what I want for my family, here's what I want for whatever. If you really know your North Star, your guiding path, to live up to what you were created for, then hey, go do that. Go pursue the path. And it could be the career path. Go out, crush it, doesn't matter. But don't just put your head down and solve that Rubik's Cube without ever thinking, that this is what I need to do with the life that I have, the time that I've been given. So it gets a little deep, but that's bad advice I hear a lot. Do the Air Force thing, check that box, and you'll be happy. You got to think a little more critically about how that's going to apply to your life. Best of luck to all of you out there. I hope our paths can cross someday. Again, really honored to have the opportunity to share some of my thoughts just as one random LRO. Thank you.
Thank you again, Captain Martin, for taking the time to share your thoughts from an LRO perspective. And to all the 2S's out there who continue to grind it out in the warehouses, the flight line, the offices, the hangars, wherever you are, we see you and we appreciate you, and we'll see you next time.